Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we look at Alderamin of the Sky, episode 11. So let me apologize, guys and girls. I did not mean to have it out today. Rather, I meant to have it out, of course, yesterday. Really, what really messed me up actually was Berserk getting delayed. I was so focused on the final episode of Berserk and setting up for the final review for that I kind of forgot Alderman was coming out on the time it's supposed to come out. So, when 3 o'clock rolled, or I think it was like 2:30, I think it was when Berserk finally came out. I forgot completely that alright, 1 o'clock had hit and Alderman had come out. So I do apologize for that, but that sometimes happens. That's a little bit unprofessionalism on my part, but I am really not going to make too many excuses. Then I had other stuff and other prior engagements that I wanted to focus on that I felt take more priority than reviewing Alderman at the time. So don't worry, but next week I should have Alderman on the Sky up on time, seeing that Berserk is finally done, and I don't think anything else I'm reviewing on Fridays. So at least for the time being. So anyways, let's talk about this episode though, because this episode was insanely good. So we see the lazy general, no, the unsleeping general, I'm sorry, got confused for a second. The unsleeping general at work. And you know what's funny about this is that we see that he's very similar to Ikta in many ways, where he has this kind of presence about him where he doesn't show very many emotions, but more so is very just cold and cunning. So in many ways, Ikta, while is more laid back and more relaxed, I want to say that this one is more so the same way, but a little bit more cold-sided to him. So you can tell that he's willing to go anywhere he has to go to get the job done, and we could see that in several times in this course of this episode. Now he's making plans to attack. Meanwhile, Ikta and his charge are trying to figure out how to avoid getting slaughtered by the higher amount numbered that the enemy poses against them. And we find out about a very small little canal / like mountainside part where if they go through that, it's a straight shot to their encampment. They will be slaughtered if that happens. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to figure out a way to block it off. Now, what's cool about this is that we see Ikta finally, I think almost at one point, double guessing himself. Now, what he's doing here is that if you watch the episode, of course, you see that he's shaking a lot and he's thinking, oh, can we really do this? Can we win against a force of 12,000 people? What am I gonna do? Am I gonna fail to lead my people the right way, etc.? And he's actually even talking to himself. He's like inner monologuing against himself, which is very interesting. I mean, people that are usually playing tactical games or stuff like that will say there's always a inner side to you that's always telling you to think of this move instead of that move, especially if you play things like chess. Like chess is one game that I've always found myself, you second guess a lot of your decisions, and that inner thought and inner voice of yours goes, why'd you do that? You should have maybe did this instead, or why not do that? So it's kind of cool because we have not seen Ikta really look like he's ever struggled in a fight before, and this is probably one of the biggest struggles he's had. Now, meanwhile, the Unsleeping General over here is going right at him. He's already had what the plan is going to do. He's going straight at him, despite it looking like his group is going to get slaughtered because they're in a small ravine of sorts with very minimal movement, and the enemy has the upper hand on him. So how is this going to work? But as we see in the episode, though, several things start happening. Where one of them is that the forces that are outside, which is namely the Sinek people, are getting kind of in trouble a little bit because what they're doing is they're also taking the charge to make sure that they're protecting everything and all that. And so Yatori and Nana go out completely, decide to go fight under the order of the general there. And when they go out and fight, the problem is that while Yatori and Nana are working very efficiently together, Nana, kind of being pissed off about all the stuff that's happening, I guess betrayal concepts too, goes out too far among the group, leaving the issue of them getting separated. And the thing with that is that it kind of puts Ikta in a bad spot because he's thinking strategically, should he save them or could he? There's two different things with that statement. I think it's very cool how they put that, where he could save them, you probably could, but can you really do that? Do you have the forces to do it? And I like that they did this in the scene this way. But he does decide to go out with the Yatsuri's group to save everyone and just essentially start a retreat, which does work successfully for the most part. We'll get into what happened after this. They burn the background so this way they can't follow them any further. And the lazy general, what I love about it is that he goes, we didn't lose, we just gained information. We gained that we know now they're being led by someone smart, and also despite them having forces, we still outnumber them, so we can do this. So that's interesting. I think episode 12 is going to be the end of the series, or at least the season, so I'm very curious how that's going to go down. Probably a big war. Now, we do learn, though, that there was some casualties. There were some casualties and there was some damage done. Matthew, for example, Matthew was lucky. He only got hit on the right shoulder, so it grazed him. But it did kind of make him worry that, what if it would have been like 5 centimeters closer to me? And he could have died from that. We also learned that there were many casualties on Ikta's side, and the other squads also had many casualties. And what's funny is that Ikta responds, "Thanks for telling me." When the girl comes up to tell him that, we'll talk more about it later, and we'll figure out what we're gonna do plan wise. She gets mad at him. She really flips out on him. She goes, "Why'd you even do that order? Why'd you send everyone out to go save the Sinek people? Namely Nana and all the other Sinek followers that are following her and stuff like that." And, he doesn't really say very much. He stays quiet for the most part. He stays silent while she's kind of yelling and grilling into him. And he says, "Well, I had to go save them. I couldn't leave them on their own devices." And Yatsuri comes in and explains that really it was her decision. And, the girl doesn't believe him at first. She goes, "Oh, he said that to go out, not you." But she realized that, and the reason why I had the two images together like that from before, because that was one of the screenshots and one of the scenes of the show, was that because if you remember the statement that they both had where one was going to act as the right hand and one was going to act as the left hand, Ikta right away realized that Yatsuri needed help. She needed assistance. And so he went out to help her. So she realized that he was going to go out and help her. And the thing was is that that's what caused the issue in the first place. He would not have done that if they didn't go out at all in general. But because they went out, because Nana went forward, they had to go and push forward. Ikta followed what he would usually do, of course, to help Yatsuri. So that was interesting. And we learned that really, Matthew says it best that they're so used to winning every single battle. They've so far won every single battle with either 0 casualties or just 0 damage in general, it seems like. And now they face their first kind of defeat in many ways. I mean, you could almost argue that the fort was a defeat in a lot of ways, but the thing is that the fort was not a defeat on their part. It was a defeat on the lack of orders and the lack of time given by the other generals. It wasn't because of Ikta or anything like that. But in this case, it kind of was Ikta's, loss in many ways. They were able to survive and they were able to retreat. So is that a successful win? I agree with that. But the thing is that they did lose people. This is the first time. And Matthew says it best that, it makes you realize, hey, people can die. I guess they haven't really fully let that sink in yet. Now that they know this could happen, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on forward. Now, I love the question thrown at Yatsuri from the other general. She goes, or actually, the one that follows Ikta. I forgot her name off the top of my head, but she's the one that has like the brown hair. It's kind of like curled to the side. She goes, what if they told you to kill Ikta? What would you do, Yatsuri? I love her response. She goes that she would kill essentially her own spirit completely until it was nothing and ground it to dust and then throw that in fire, and then she would go after Ikta. Now, the reason why I find this so beautiful in many ways is the fact that it says that she would have to destroy herself to the point that, she was not the same person as she was now, just to be able to take that order. Because we do learn that Yatsuri's clan, her lineage, has always been about following orders strategically in the military. That means that if they're ordered to go kill someone, they will do it. And if they're ordered to retreat, they will do that. But they follow orders, scientifically to a T. And it's funny because you don't really think that would she ever really kill Ikta, but what if that happened? Because Ikta does go against the waves a lot, and people like that in war in general are seen sometimes as enemies. They do something that's stupid or foolish, and they're seen liabilities. They will be taken down. So it's interesting to see that where she says that she would have destroyed herself before destroying him. And, Ikta responds also a pretty interesting way, too, where he goes, "I'll wait for the day that I feel 2 blades on the back of my neck." I was cracking up with that. Overall, this episode was really good. And, I mean, you could tell from the review of this that I was really passionate about this episode. One thing I felt that was really cool about it is that it had a decent amount of action, but more so, it was a meta game. This was a game between 2 people that are really good leaders going at each other, and essentially what happens when one end receives a losing blow after having won every single thing up to now. Because, again, Ikta, yeah, he was thinking that he lost the fort thing. That's him. But everyone else does not feel like that fort was his fault. This part, they feel like it was kind of his fault. So it's interesting to see that. Anyways, guys and girls, I'm gonna end this review here, so I don't go past like 10 minutes and 30 seconds. I will talk to you later. Have a great day. As always, you like this content, hit that like, subscribe button, share the video. You know the whole nine. Have a blessed day, everyone. Bye bye.